Welcome to the 1 in 50 podcast from the Brain Aneurysm Foundation. I'm your host, Christine Buckley. 1 in 50 is the number of people living with an unruptured aneurysm, which is equal to 6.8 million people in the United States. A rupture occurs every 18 minutes, and tragically, half the people who rupture will die. These statistics need to change. The Foundation's goal is big but critical: to create a world free of death and disability from brain aneurysms. Let's reach those unaware of the danger, because awareness can save lives and prevent tragedy. Knowing the signs and symptoms of brain aneurysms can be the difference between life and death. So we are fortunate to be here today for the 1 in 50 podcast with the Brain Aneurysm Foundation, to have a guest that's super special to me, conductor of the Boston Pops, Keith Lockhart. He's an icon here in the city and beyond. So we're just really grateful for his time. So thank you, Keith, for being here with us.
Oh, my pleasure, Christine. Good to see you.
Yeah. So a couple of things, just a little bit of background on you. I mean, we know you as this master conductor here. What did you do before you were a conductor?
Well, it's been so long, I don't remember anymore. I moved into conducting I went to undergraduate school originally with the idea of taking the LSATs and becoming a lawyer. I went as a music major because that was really what my life was all about. And the incongruity of those two things eventually struck me, and I moved more toward a career in music. Didn't know exactly what that would be until halfway through my junior year, when my piano professor said, "Do you ever think about conducting?" Which I tried not to take as an insult. But he was saying that I spent more time thinking about music than I cared to spend in the practice room running the scales back and forth. So as a result, I kind of said, gee, I should look at that. I'd done a little of it before, but I didn't really have any role models. I headed off in that direction from the end of my undergraduate days. And many years later, from stops in Pittsburgh and Akron and Cincinnati, I came to the Boston Pops in 1995 at the age of 35. And I've been there ever since.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. I'd like to say thank you for not taking those LSATs and following that law degree. Hopefully you don't regret that.
I married a lawyer, so that was almost as good. So
okay, so there you go. So your journey to Boston, I mean, how was it for you to come to Boston replacing John Williams? I mean, those are pretty big shoes to fill.
They were huge. I used to refer to that as the huge shoes question, because everybody asked it. I was coming into a tradition that since 1930 had only been helmed by two people, Arthur Fiedler and John Williams. And I was a relatively unknown 35-year-old from Poughkeepsie. It was tough, but I felt fully embraced by the Boston community from the very beginning, and really set out to make myself as much as possible a resident of Boston, which John had never really been, because his career was mostly a West Coast career. Now it turns out that I'm one with the Old North Church. It's delightful. There's no other city that would sustains its arts organizations like Boston does, and to be a recognizable figure in most places fairly obscure business is really an honor.
Yeah. Again, we're so happy that you are here, but I want to congratulate you on 30 years. I mean, that's amazing. And I know that because the foundation just turned 30 and we celebrated that in September. And I know there's just so much that goes into those 30 years. So for you, what has been like the three highlights of your 30 years here in Boston with the Pops?
Oh, that's impossible.
Yeah.
Certainly being part of the Pops in celebrations and in commemorations has been very important. Being on the field at the Super Bowl when the Patriots broke their string of unsuccess and began the dynasty was really great. And other similar things, NBA Finals and World Series and that sort of thing. My first 4th of July was very exciting, but they're all very exciting because it really is amazing to be at the center of where America spends its birthday. As we approach the 250th, of course, that's particularly on my mind. But
Yeah.
really, I mean, I've done somewhere around 2,500 concerts with the Pops over these 30 years, and it's really impossible to pick a favorite moment. Just lots of them.
Yeah, I mean, I can only imagine. For me, it's the holiday pops every year. I just love it. It gets me in the spirit. I go Christmas Eve, and it just, it's always so meaningful and special. And how you guys change up the program a little bit, and it's just, for
Well,
me,
thank you.
that's one of the favorites.
We're really proud of what we've done there and how that has really created a Boston tradition.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we're going to jump into a little bit of the meat of the subject, brain aneurysms. And I think you know all too well, they impact 1 in 50 people walking around in the United States, 30,000 ruptures a year where half those people die. And part of the reason we're doing this podcast is to get more awareness and education out there, because people don't realize, they don't often talk about it, and they don't realize how many people in their communities have been impacted. So could you please share with us your connection to this devastating disease?
Well, my connection is, for me, mercifully less direct than many people's, and it is through my brother. I have one brother; he's 3 years younger than I am, which makes him 62 these days.
Yeah.
And almost 20 years ago, in May of 2006, he was at home with his wife, Joanna, who had they had a toddler at that point who was a week shy of his second birthday. And Paul is an author and a historian, and he was upstairs writing and couldn't figure out why the baby was fussing, having been put down for a nap, and nobody was doing anything because he knew Joanne was home. And he came down to find her lying dead on the bed. And it had taken her pretty much instantly, no warning. And the shock value was just incredible. There we were all as a family trying to console him. And, trying to, of course, the child mercifully was too young to know what had happened, but right. It was a major change in everybody's life. And I certainly knew what a brain aneurysm was prior to that point, but had never felt the immediacy, the impact of the kind of ticking time bomb. She'd complained earlier that day of a headache, and that's why she was lying down on the bed. And obviously it turned out to be one of those 1 in 50 people. And since then, of course, I've had the chance to liaison with the Brain Aneurysm Foundation and know of your work in education, I think, mostly. Education, certainly research for prevention and the possibility of rehabilitation. But, it's one of those things that's very hard to come back from. If you're lucky enough to have survived it, then, but, the best thing, of course, would be to come up with preventative means to be able to identify people who are at risk before it happens.
Yeah, and fortunately, and again, I'm sorry about your sister-in-law and that experience that you all went through, and it is really tragic. And that's one of the things we are doing. And the foundation is the largest private funder of brain aneurysm research. We're going to Capitol Hill on May 7th, trying to get more money from the federal government as well, which is difficult. But there are strides being made. And one thing is to determine if someone has it through a blood-based biomarker versus having to have a scan. So if it could be a blood test, I mean, that would make certainly a very big difference moving forward. And we're hoping at some point that is what happens, because it is a very treatable disease and the treatments keep getting better. But, people need to know they have it before.
If you don't know you have it,
be treated.
You have to treat everybody. Yes. And I didn't mention, Joanne was 38 at the time. Yeah. And, so this takes people quite young. I mean, it's not a disease of old age.
No.
And so that makes it even more poignant because of the lives it affects, as my now 21-year-old nephew.
Yeah. No, it is. I mean, it's insane that it impacts people prime of life, and that's what we want through education, early detection, and greater research is to keep families and communities whole. And I think it being in Boston, we are fortunate to have great health care, and the arts is important. And often you see these communities coming together, like we're going to be celebrating with you in your 30th, June 6th, our group coming together, which has been a fabulous event because through these tough times of loss and people struggling, I just feel there's so much coming together in a community in such a positive way through the arts. And because of you and with the Pops, we've been able to do that. So have you seen that being an important part of being with the Pops and in Boston?
Well, one great thing about the Pops is that we partner with a lot of worthy, great people doing worthy things, and to be ourselves a nonprofit, charitable organization that is committed to bringing the arts and culture to as wide a band of people in Boston and beyond as possible. It's great to be able to partner with people who have perhaps a more physically obvious goal in mind, and to know that we're helping do good.
Yeah, no, it's fabulous. So the spring season's about to kick off. Any highlights or any special guests or shows you'd like to mention for people to check out the schedule, get their
Well,
tickets?
we are currently we've announced all of it at this point. I think some of the exciting things are Cody Fry, the amazing internet sensation, a really superb musician, is joining us. Cynthia Erivo is joining us, but I think that's been sold out since anybody knew that. We're doing a concert with George Takei of Star Trek fame called Music in the Cosmos, which should be wonderfully enhanced by our collaboration with the Museum of Science. And there is my little birthday party on June 6th.
And we will be there.
Yeah, well, we try for there to be something for everybody and try to have it all of an equally engaging quality.
Yeah, no, we can't wait again to come as a community on June 6th to celebrate. I mean, there'll be extra special for us this year. And I just want to say thank you for always being willing to come in and meet our community and always willing to share your story. I want to just let you know it does make a difference to have different people share their stories and get their perspective out there. And so people understand that this disease needs to be stopped. We need to get people treated. We need to identify sooner and save more lives. So conductor of the Boston Pops, Keith Lockhart, thank you so much. Any closing words from you?
Just we're all with you, Christine, in your fight to make this happen. Best of luck for your next 30 years. I have a feeling you'll probably outlast me in the Boston area, but
we'll see about that. But thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.